Hey, what's going on YouTube? So if you were like me, you probably watched Yu-Gi-Oh when you were in middle school. Or maybe you watched it when you were 3 because you were just awesome like that. Also, if you didn't have any friends that were into anime, you probably didn't watch the Japanese version until many years later when you actually learned what anime was. Or maybe you just didn't watch Yu-Gi-Oh after that. If this applies to you, then you probably didn't know that Yu-Gi-Oh was heavily censored by 4Kids when they released it in America. Most of the things censored involved religion, violence, and sexual themes. Pretty obvious, right? But let's see for ourselves what the real differences are between the original episodes released in Japan and the dubbed and censored version aired on TV by 4Kids. Starting with episode 1, the name of the episodes are not translated directly. The English title is called The Heart of the Cards, while the Japanese title is translated to The Terrifying Blue Eyes White Dragon. The reason for the name change is most likely because the name was too scary, and the staff at 4Kids decided to change the name to something with more hope and feel-good attitude. So, not even 2 minutes into the first episode, and we already have our first censored scene. You probably noticed that the cover of the book Kaiba was reading is blank. When I first saw the episode, I paid no attention to it and thought it was intentional. However, in the Japanese version, the book is actually called Thus Spoke Zarathustra. The anime actually contains the misspelled German title of the book. This book was written by a famous German philosopher named Friedrich Nietzsche. So why would they censor this? The reason is, Nietzsche had many extremely provocative and controversial ideas. The book Kaiba was reading contained a famous statement, God is dead. Well dang, that's a pretty bold statement, isn't it? Since the book contained some religious aspects, the book title was erased. After Solomon, Yugi's grandpa loses his duel against Kaiba. He is shown in a critical state. Solomon tells Yugi to duel Kaiba, and Kaiba responds. Here is where the difference between the English version and the Japanese version lies. In the Japanese version, Kaiba totally ignores Solomon, and even asks if Yugi wants to take revenge for his grandpa. Joey also mentions that he used to like picking fights before he met Yugi. This scene was drastically toned down in the American version through changes in dialogue. Kaiba tells Yugi's friends to take care of his grandpa while Yugi duels with Kaiba, showing some sort of consideration for Solomon's well-being, even though he was the one that caused him to be hurt in the first place. Also, the dialogue mentioned nothing of Joey's past, cutting out the part where he mentions fighting. During turn 3 of the duel between Kaiba and Yugi, Kaiba powers up Hisagi the Dark Clown with a card called Negative Energy Generator. The English version's artwork of the card features the letter E centered in the middle of the card, enclosed in a circle with lightning bolts. However, in the Japanese version, we have an eyeball surrounded by lightning bolts. The artwork was changed in order to make the card look less demonic. The weird thing is, they also created another artwork that was released later that was similar to the original art, but it appeared more demonic. In the Japanese version, when Yugi is putting all the pieces of Exodia on the board, you see that all the Exodia cards have part of a pentagram in the artwork. Also, when Exodia is summoned, he is summoned through a pentagram. In the American version, the pentagram is removed and a different seal is seen in the background. In addition, when Exodia is summoned, he comes through a modified star thingy. I don't know what you guys call it, but you get the point. So that's it for the censored scene in the first episode, but don't leave just yet! There are a few more things I would like to show you. There are some changes that don't fall into the censorship category, but I would like to mention them since we are comparing the differences between the Japanese version and the American version. The opening and endings for all Yu-Gi-Oh episodes were changed from rock or pop music to music created from a synthesizer. In addition, many of the main protagonists and antagonists have their names changed. Yugi's name in the Japanese version was Yugimoto. They sound exactly the same, however, the Romaji is spelled with an extra U at the end. Joey Wheeler's Japanese name is Katsuya Jonochi. 4Kids also renamed Taya Gardner, whose Japanese name is Anzu Masaki. And Tristan Taylor is also known as Hiroto Honda in the Japanese version. There were also a few mistakes made by 4Kids when they were editing the scenes for TV. If you paid really close attention when you were watching Kaiba play Dark Energy Generator, you can see that for some reason most of the card is from the Japanese version, while the upper half is from the American version. This only appears in one frame, so you most likely didn't catch it. Don't know how that happened, but I find it to be really strange. In another scene when Yugi is examining his hand, we see that he holds 3 different pieces of Exodia in his hand alongside with the Rude Kaiser. But did you know that in the Japanese version he is holding the right arm, while in the English version he is holding the left arm? I don't know what the editors were doing, but this totally screwed up the whole thing. Why?
You're stalling, Yugi, or
The reason is, after Yugi examines his hand, he conducts his draw phase. Guess what he draws? That's right, he draws the left arm of the Forbidden One. So that means he has two left arms in his hand. Yet he still summons Exodia without us seeing him draw into the right arm. Good going, 4Kids. Next up, we have a few scenes that contain Japanese characters on signs or vehicles that were removed. This made sense to me because no one knows how to read Japanese, so what's the point of keeping it in? Going back to the beginning of the episode, when Yugi and Joey are dueling, the card design on the mat matches the back of a Yu-Gi-Oh card, along with the Japanese text that corresponds to the zones. In the English version, they are replaced with bland design and removal of the Japanese text. When Yugi and his friends are walking to the game shop from school, there is a sign that contains Japanese characters that was replaced with some kind of weird symbols. I have no idea why they did that, instead of putting something like Bob's Waffle House. I mean, that makes sense, right? In the ambulance scene where Joey is escorting Solomon to the ambulance, there are Japanese characters on the van which I will assume say ambulance because, well, it makes sense. In the English version, the characters were completely erased. Here are some additional changes. However, these changes made absolutely no sense in my mind. There are green books in Solomon's store that appeared in a few scenes. These books contain a Gundam-like figure on the cover and contains a text that read, "Now printing." The text was removed in the English version, for unknown reasons. To finish things off, we see that English Kaiba is richer than Japanese Kaiba, because we see that English Kaiba has more cards in his suitcase. And that concludes today's video on the differences between the Japanese and American version of the anime. Stay tuned for more episodes because there are way more things that have yet to be seen. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you saw some interesting things that you have never noticed before. If you like my work, please subscribe, press the like button, and all that good stuff. And I'll see you guys next time. Thanks.